Hey guys, Mike here. So today we're talking about the stock market and insider trading. You know, is it legal? Is it not legal? How are these guys getting away with it? Well, to many this comes as a complete surprise, but there is no federal law that explicitly outlaws insider trading. Rather, for decades, the SEC and the Department of Justice, with the endorsements of federal judges, have used the general securities fraud statutes to patch together a complex and problematic insider trading common law. And so that's right, Congress has never officially passed a law on insider trading. Please put in the comments if that surprises you. I'll be honest with you, I'll raise my hand and say, I figured there had to be an official law in the books after all these years, but there is not at the federal level. Why don't they pass it? I think we all know why they don't pass that, since they're, as I'll show you the end here, probably the biggest insider traders there are out there. And so, what we're gonna look at today is the most successful insider traders that are actually tracked by TipRanks with an algorithm they use by, filtering through all the SEC filings and stuff. And you're gonna be stunned at how successful these guys are, and how they get away with it is mind-boggling, because you can look at the charts, you can look at the dates, the news I'm gonna show you, and there's no doubt how they're so successful is because of the news they know that's coming out before we know about it, okay? But the good thing is you can track them, okay? And I'll show you a couple more things at the end that people are actually doing right now to actually increase the likelihood they're going to actually get into and out of a successful trade or investment, okay? So if you get anything out of it, please hit the like, subscribe button for me, guys, is all I ask. And let's go ahead and head over to TipRanks. And so the way we're gonna find this, guys, we're gonna go to TipRanks right here. We're gonna go top experts, expert center, and you'll see 4 different kind of experts. You got your top 25 analysts, top 25 bloggers, top 25 hedge funds, and then there's the top 25 insiders. And they use an algorithm to find these guys, okay? And they rank them in their performance and everything. You can see number 1 over here, James Filler, and it goes down through the top 25. And really what I'm looking for more than anything is obviously a high percentage rate win, but really looking for a corporate insider who holds 10% of the stock or more, or sits on the board. Every once in a while you get a CEO and stuff, but really it's these directors and the top 10% owners that I'm looking at. You can see right here, it describes them in detail. And so our first guy here, James Filler, he's number 1 on the list out of 82,000 insiders. And look at this guy's win rate, 88%. And so 435 out of 497 buys have been wins for him over the last year. As you can see, he has about 25% annual return. And as you can see by the chart right here, he knows how to buy at the bottom as it goes up. And you can see, for example, I'm gonna give you a prime example about insider information here. So this guy buys on March 29th and on April 5th, right? So he's buying for 94 bucks. You see the line straight up. So what happened here? And so what happens is 2 days later, this gets released. Agreement and plan of merger by and among Eastern Bank shares, Clarion Acquisition Corp, Century Bank, blah, blah, blah. And so what he knew was this bank was getting acquired and this was going to be announced. So he just loaded the boat a couple of days right before this was announced. And then our second guy here, as you can see, is David Field. He is the COB, or Press and CEO Director of Odyssey. And you see 21 out of 24 profitable transactions, 88% success rate. The average return is a whopping 265%. As you can see, look at that chart, guys. He never buys at the top or anywhere near it, right? I mean, look at him, loads up right before you see a spike and stuff. Now, when you look at his purchases, obviously he purchased on September 9th, September 22nd, September 25th for $1.45. You can see the amount of money he's putting in here is not chump change. I mean, you're talking about 127K, 351K. And so these are big purchases, and they're informative buys, okay, which means he knows something is going on, okay? And then what happens on October 29th, the very next month, Intercom shoots higher on partnership with FanDuel. This is a big thing for them, okay? So they got this partnership they announced the very next month. Stock starts to skyrocket. Also, they had good earnings through all this stuff, by the way, and so, which he made more buys on, and then it goes to 620. And so then if you look over here, he buys it for $3 on August 12th. What happens 30 days later? Odyssey and Cumulus announced content distribution partnership, another partnership. This was a big one because all of Cumulus Media's 413 radio stations and podcast portfolio would now be distributed through the Odyssey digital platform. So this is a big one for them, and he knew all about it. And you see the price go from $3 to around $3.62, which is a big percentage swing. And one of my favorites here is the number 2 insider guy. He actually owns 10% in about 4 different companies. And so if you look at him, look at this rating, 47 out of 49 profitable transactions, 96% is his rating, 191% return over the last year. And if you look at this chart on the right here, look at where he buys. It's always before a pop, right? I mean, he's never at the top, anywhere near it. Again, that could be a coincidence. I find it hard to believe, but you look at some of these buys here, it's just amazing to me. It's the amount he accumulates before these big runs. I mean, look at that, $25 to $90, 74 up to 157 there. And so, it's just amazing to see here. And again, could be a coincidence. I tend to think not, because especially the amount of purchases or the big purchases he is making. And this is just in CDLX, all right? And so he's a 10% owner in there. It's informative buys that he is making. Then if we go to home, look at this chart. You get the same thing. The guys are 100%, 12 out of 12 profitable transactions, 283% return in this company, right? Always gets in before these big runs. I mean, these are informative buys, right? You go to World right here, World Acceptance. The guy's sitting here 100%, 3 out of 3, 65% returns, right? Look at that. Look at where he bought at. Look where the stock's at now. I mean, it's just crazy, right? Then the 4th one here, Party City, he's sitting there at only 91% on this one. And then there's another one here with a company called Flex Shopper, right? He's a director, owns 10% of it. And you just look at the trades here. I mean, the guy is 54 out of 55 transactions, 98%, 84% return on what he does here, which is just amazing. And you can see all the informative buys, which means he knows something. Look at all these informative buys down here. And this is big money he's putting in. 60K, 107K, 52K, 143K, 485,000, 111,000. Just hundreds of thousands of dollars going in. You can see the win percentage on the right there, the increase in the stock price after he makes these purchases. And for example, you see these huge purchases right here on September 18th, 36,000, September 25th, 143,000. And then what happens right after he makes these purchases right here? And like 10 days later, the company comes out with a killer quarter and up their forward guidance, and of course the stock takes off. And you just look at that and you got to ask yourself, your traders, your investors, are your success rates 54 out of 55 or even close to what these gentlemen here are actually putting on there? And I mean, I went back to a bunch of different news clippings. I could put way more than this in there for examples, but I figured I'd just give you, 1 or 2 there to kind of prove the point. But even if you knew no news, look at the charts of where they're making these informed purchases at, okay? You just look at the success rates, but then look at the charts. Even if you don't know the news, look at where they're buying. Nobody's buying anywhere near the top on any of those charts, right? And so, they know what's happening. They know it ahead of time, obviously, and that's all that gray area, right? And that's why I say if you're going to look for some of these guys, look for the directors and look for those ones that just own 10%, because the executives, like the CEOs, stuff like that, they usually have blackout windows in their contracts where they can't buy or sell stock, and usually it's around earnings and things like that. But usually the directors and the people that own 10% do not have that. Okay, and so that's why they can get away with this. I don't really know, it's obvious what they're doing, but they've been doing it for a long time. It's been going on for years, right? And so, of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the biggest insider traders of all. And here, guys, you can just see how active Congress is. This is the last 60 days. And ask yourself how many trades you have made in the last 60 days. And this is our Congress here, right, at the federal level. Look at this guy, 30 transactions in the last 60 days. Another one, 22. Another one's 18, 17. And how many have you made, right? And you look to the left here, you can see how much money they're spending here, okay? And so, it's just amazing to watch the amount of money and transactions they're actually doing with the amount of information they have at their disposal. They know what bills are being passed, what policies. They know if the debt ceiling is going to be agreed on or not. I mean, all kinds of stuff they do. It is amazing. Again, just ask yourself, how many trades have you made in the last 60 days, and does it equal what they're doing? And imagine having the insight on what these guys know before it happens. And of course, the number one politician people follow when it comes to stock purchases is Nancy Pelosi. She don't purchase the stock herself, her husband does. But I mean, if you go back, and I'll put the links down the bottom for you guys, you can look this up yourself. I've already done it. I mean, they're a big time in all their positions. You know, they bought Tesla right before the EV bills were passed in Congress. They bought Google right before it was announced that the government was not going to be cracking down on Google and stuff like that. They bought in May, I think it was, April and May, NVIDIA, and they bought Leap Options as well, and of course the stock just took off. And so, you know, it's just one of these things where you can look back at some of the purchases, and then later on, whether it be a couple weeks or a month, there'll be something coming out of Congress or not coming out of Congress, which people thought would happen, and the stock just takes off from it. And so, you know, a lot of people actually track what she's reporting. You have to report within 30 to 45 days of the purchase. And one thing that her husband is buying a lot of is Leap Options in these companies, okay? So take a look at that. Take the links down the bottom as well. And of course, you know, we can't in this video without talking about the Fed presidents that are, you know, have resigned and stuff. And, you know, it's coming out now that there's so much gray area and insider trading that the day before the Fed president was actually reporting that what they were going to do in March 2020 to save the stock market and save the economy, right, by doubling their balance sheet, buying things they've never bought before in the history of our country, and what Congress is going to be doing the night before, the day before, one of the presidents actually moved $5 million out of a bond investment and moved that $5 million into the stock market the night before that Jerome Powell actually made the announcement back in March to basically, you know, and of course, once he made the announcement, what happened to the stock market? Boom. It just took off. You know, the other guy made, what was it, $31 million or more trades throughout 2020 and 2021 as they were making policy. And so, of course, you know, supposedly there's been an investigation launched into this. We'll see what happens. Nothing's going to happen. Why? Because there is no federal law, right? I've showed you how the law is made. That's why, you know, each case-by-case basis. And so, you know, nothing will happen. But, you know, this makes sense. The fact there's no federal law. This is how these guys get away with it. So I wanted to bring this to you. I'm like, hey, if you can track it, track it. You know, if you want to sign up for TipRanks, use the link down the bottom. You can sign up down there. And so, you know, I'm going to be tracking it. I'm going to be using this a lot more for a lot of my different stocks as well when there's big events to come up, because sometimes that is a telltale sign. I'm going to be looking for these directors, and you can actually follow these guys. I mean, you can click follow, and so you can actually follow. Like if you're a big person in Tesla, or you're a big person on SoFi or Palantir, you know, you can follow, and you'll get an alert from TipRanks when there's an actual informative purchase made, and it might be a tip that something actually is coming up. And so, you know, just putting that out there to you. Hopefully you got some of this. Hit the like, subscribe button if you did. Really appreciate it, guys. And never forget, hit that link down the bottom and sign up for a BlockFi account where you can earn up to 8.25% now on your stablecoins. That began October 1st. You can also sign up for that credit card and earn Bitcoin with every purchase that you make. That's what I am doing. And parking cash there to earn that 8.25% as well. And plus you can also go ahead and sign up for any loans you need against your cryptocurrency as well at a very reasonable rate.